Namaste and welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we are going to do a 45-minute mindful movement prenatal yoga class. Attaching movement with the breath allows us to move in a more mindful way. The vinyasa is technically to place in a special way, or what we do in vinyasa yoga is to move in synchronicity with our breath. And this is extremely helpful in prenatal yoga because we are not only breathing for ourselves, but also for our babies. So as we move into this synchronicity, we not only feel in sync with our bodies, but we start to feel in sync with our babies. So today's practice is going to be a more fluid practice, and I want to encourage you to listen to your body, to really be aware of how the movements are affecting you and take breaks when you need to, and maybe move into your own postures at any point in time in the practice that feel good in your body. For today's practice, I have quite a few props because I'm quite far along in my pregnancy. I have a blanket, a bolster, 2 blocks, and a yoga strap. If you have these props at home, they're extremely helpful, especially as you get into the later stages of your pregnancy. But if you don't worry about it. I would recommend grabbing a blanket and maybe a pillow, something that helps you to feel comfortable as you move on your mat. So today we are going to start seated. You can start cross-legged like this with your hips propped up on a pillow or on a bolster. Or maybe today, as long as it feels okay, you'll start in Vajrasana, which is just a really great pose for digestion, actually. With your feet together or slightly apart, and I'm going to place the bolster between my calves and my thighs just to elevate the hips a little bit and sit down on the heels. And as your hips settle down into the surface beneath you, allow your pelvis to tilt in a way that you can feel the lumbar and curves of your spine. It's going to kind of move in this motion. And you'll start to sit up a little bit taller. And the shoulders will drop away from the ears. As your tailbone lengthens towards the floor and the back of the neck, the crown of the head reaches towards the sky. And palms can be face up or face down. Face up allows you to receive energy, whereas face down might be conserving your energy today. Maybe your thumb and forefinger come to meet, locking in Jhana Mudra to connect you to your intuition. And as your third eye begins to open, begin to visualize the breath moving in a circular motion. So if your baby is head down, then I want you to imagine as though the inhale is moving up your spine. And then as you exhale, it's moving from the baby's tailbone down to the crown of your baby's head. And so the breath is sort of uniting you in this circular motion. And you can stick with that visualization or not. It's completely up to you. Everything I say here today is an offering. You can take it or leave it. And start to tune into the sound and the quality of your breath. Perhaps slowing things down. Letting go of something you've been carrying. Setting it aside just for the next few moments as you dedicate this time to practice. And take a nice, smooth, deep breath down into your belly. Allow that inhale to fill your entire torso. Your lungs expand, the heart lifts. And exhale out through your mouth. A generous sigh out to release any gripping around the jaw, the forehead, and the eyebrows. Softening, spreading, releasing, and letting go. And then start to lower one ear towards the shoulder and draw some half circles with your head, rocking your head from side to side. And if full circles feel okay in your body, then you can move into those full circle head rolls. And take one more cycle of breath to even it out. Upright the head, draw the shoulders up by your ears, and then pull the shoulder blades down your back. Good, and lower your right hand down, lean on over to the right so you come into a side body stretch. And switch, lower your left fingertips down, reach your right arm up and overhead, leaning over to the left. Inhale, come up to center, bring your hands into your heart, bowing the chin in towards your chest, taking this moment to set an intention for your practice if that feels appropriate for you. Calling in what you need. To reveal deep inside of you. And then go ahead and release that. Shift forward onto your hands and to your knees. If you are using your props today, then go ahead and place those blocks underneath your hands. I've got the blanket underneath my knees. I might even pat it one more time. Adjusting these props so that they really do work for you. Hands about underneath your shoulders and shoulders width apart. A few rounds of cat and cow. Inhale, opening the heart and chest forward, and then exhale, press down and round your upper back. Inhaling, chest pulls through the gateway of your arms. Exhale, press into those index knuckles as you round and stretch the shoulder blades wide on your back. And then today you might do some circles. So kind of moving over towards one wrist and then towards the other and kind of moving your hips back into child's pose. And just kind of moving in a circular rotation. Moving in both directions. Maybe you're sticking with traditional cat and cow. Last round. And then come to a neutral spine. And then tuck your toes under, lift your hips to the sky for downward facing dog pose. And step your feet wide in down dog, so about as wide as your mat. As you stretch your hips back and lengthen your lower back, you can move your hips from side to side, getting a stretch for the inner hamstring, the outer glute. Keep wrapping your triceps down in down dog so you have that nice shelf across your shoulders with your ears in line with your arms. Still drawing those lower ribs in, supporting baby's home. And then walk your hands back to your feet. Heel toe your feet back to hips within distance. Bend your knees a lot, roll up to stand, one vertebrae at a time. The head is the last thing to stack on top. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead, and then exhale, bring your hands into your heart. Lower your right hand down, reach your left arm up and over as you lean on over to the right. Come back up to center, reach your right arm up, lower your left hand down, and lean over to the left. Inhale, come up to center, reach your left hand up, take a deep breath in, maybe open your heart to the sky, and then exhale, fold forward, dropping the crown of the head towards the floor. Lengthen as you breathe in, and then exhale, walk your hands back into downward facing dog pose. Lower your knees down to the floor as you inhale, chest and heart opens into cow, and then exhale, round your spine into cat. Come to a neutral spine, step your right foot outside your right hand and start to lunge into your front thigh. Opening up that left psoas and hip flexor. Deep breath, shoulder blades draw down the back. And take one more inhale. Exhale, pull your hips back, untuck your back toes, and flex your right ankle. So now you're in Ardha Hanumanasana. Maybe walking your hands up to those blocks a little higher as you lengthen your spine. Pulling the pinky edge side of your right foot back. Now lower just your left hand down on the block or on the floor. Step your right foot back into a supported Vashisthasana as you reach your right arm up to the sky. And then draw some circles with your right arm as you move into that rotation of your right shoulder. You can move in both directions. Pressing down firmly into your left hand to draw the left shoulder blade down your back and being mindful of your breath and how it affects your movement. Becoming so tunely aware with what's going on in your body, even though you're following the sound of my voice. Now reach up fully through your right hand and then exhale, circle your right hand down to the block or to the floor and lower your right knee down. Step your left foot outside your left hand. Let's go ahead and lunge into your front thigh. You can lower your hips down towards the earth as your shoulder blades glide down your back. Opening up the left hip and right psoas, hip flexor. And stick your tongue out, releasing the jaw. Now glide your hips back into Ardha Hanumanasana, flexing your left ankle, maybe coming up higher onto your props. And lengthen your spine as you breathe in. Pull the toes back towards your face. Exhale, just feel your left hip crease fold. So you're getting a little bit more of a broadening in your lower back than a rounding. Soft eyes, maybe on one still spot to steady your gaze. Now lower your right hand down onto the block or onto the floor and send your left foot back into a supported Vashisthasana as you reach your left arm up to the sky. And then you might choose to do some circles with your top arm, moving in that circular rotation in either or both directions. As you press into the outer blade of your left foot, you might feel the arch and inseam rise. And then really press down into your right hand as you stretch up into your left fingertips. And then exhale, lower your left hand down to the block or to the floor and your left knee down as well. One round of cat and cow. Inhale, opening your chest. Exhale, press to round. Come to a neutral spine as you breathe in. And downward facing dog as you breathe out. Walk your hands back to your feet. Bend your knees a lot and roll up to stand. Inhale, circle your arms up to the sky. And then exhale, bring your hands down into your heart. So a little different. You're going to step your left foot behind you and kind of bend your right knee. So your legs are going to kind of look like this as you reach on over to the right. Call this dancing Shiva. So you're just kind of moving over to the right as your right hand grabs your left wrist and getting a nice stretch. Now come back up to center. And then left hand's going to grab your right wrist as you step your right foot behind. And just a little bend to lean on over to the left. And then come back up to center. Reach up through both hands as you inhale. And then exhale, fold forward. Lengthen your spine as you inhale. And downward facing dog as you exhale. Lower your knees down to the ground as you inhale. One round of cat and cow. This kind of serves as your vinyasa in prenatal yoga. Come to a neutral spine, breathing in, downward facing dog, breathing out. Now step your right foot outside your right hand. You might need to move your right hand a little closer to the left. Warrior one, spin your back foot flat and then reach your arms up into Virabhadrasana 1. Straighten out your right leg as you inhale, run your arms down by your sides, and then return into Warrior 1. 2 more times, straightening and bending with your breath, straightening and bending. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lower your hands down to your blocks, pivot onto your back toes. With your back knee up or down, straighten your front leg and pull your hips back. You can flex your right ankle. You can come higher up onto your blocks. Deep breaths. Now rebend your front knee. You're going to be in a low lunge. And you're either going to come back into supported Vashisthasana or lower your left hand down to the ground, roll to the outer edge of your left foot, and you can come into full Vashi, or you can step your right foot behind just like we did in that side bend, and then reach your right arm to the sky. Exhale, lower your right hand down and come back to all fours. Whew. Downward facing dog. Look forward, step your left foot outside your left hand and spin your back foot flat for warrior one, reaching your arms forward and up. Exhale, straighten your front leg, run your arms down by your side. Rebend your front knee, warrior one, and then straighten it out as your arms run down. One more time. Rebend your left knee, breathing in. Exhale, lower your hands down to those props. Pivot onto your back toe. So now you're in a lunge. And you can always lower your back knee down or keep it lifted as you pull your hips back into a hamstring stretch. And maybe come higher up onto your props. So you're recruiting the legs here. Hug your outer hips. Maybe flex your left foot if you're comfortable. You might lengthen your spine a little bit, but you don't want to strain your lower back. So really lift through your pelvic floor. You're stabilizing. We're all opening. And one more breath. And then exhale, rebend your left knee and come back into a lunge. So you're welcome to come back into supported Vashisthasana or lower your right hand down to the floor. And as you roll to the outer edge of your right foot, you're stacking your left foot on top for traditional Vashi, or you can kickstand your left foot behind the right leg and then reach your left arm up. Draw that tailbone in. Deep breath. And then exhale, lower your left hand down and come back to all fours. And back into downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Now let's bend the knees into chair pose. And as you find chair, really pull your hips back, lengthen through your fingertips. Press to stand and run your arms down by your sides. Working those kegels. Inhale, expand your pelvic floor. Let it widen. And then exhale, lift through the pelvic floor, lifting those muscles at the base of the spine all the way up the elevator of your spine to your chest and to your throat. And then let's bend back into chair. 2 more times. Straighten arms down by your side and bend. Straighten, pelvic floor lifts and bend, and it broadens. Take a deep breath in, forward fold, breathing out. Lengthen as you breathe in and walk your hands back into downward facing dog. Lower your knees down to the floor. 1 round of cat and cow, breathing in as the heart and chest open, breathing out as you round. Now come to a neutral spine as you breathe in. If you have your hands on blocks, go ahead and move your blocks forward. Walk your left hand forward a beat and thread your right arm underneath your left shoulder as you lower down into a twist. If that's really big, you can always lower down onto a bolster instead. Maybe your left hand walks forward. Take one more breath. And then switch. Lower your left hand down. Come back to all fours. Walk your right hand forward and thread your left arm underneath your right shoulder. Again, you can always bring it down to a bolster. And take one more breath. And come back to all fours. Maybe hands come back onto those blocks. Downward facing dog, tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back. Step your right foot outside your right hand, maybe moving your right hand closer to the left. Warrior two, spin your back foot flat and then cartwheel, open your arms to the side. Now straighten out your right leg, shift forward into Trikonasana triangle pose, taking your right hand outside your right foot as you press firmly down into your feet and stretch across your shoulders. So you are welcome to stay here, or you can look down and bend your right knee and shift into Ardha Chandrasana half moon pose and come into the balance. You can always lean against a wall if that feels better in your body for this pose. Roll the inner left thigh back as you imagine as though your left foot's pressing into a wall. And take one more breath. Rebend your right knee and slowly step back into triangle pose. Being mindful of the shift in balance that happens as baby starts to grow. Now rebend your right knee like you're in side angle pose, but you're just gonna lower your left hand down. Pivot onto your back toes. Move your right hand back inside of your right foot. And step back into downward facing dog. Nice and easy. Side two, step your left foot outside your left hand. I'm moving my left hand a little closer to my right. Spin your back foot flat. Line it up front heel to back arch alignment as you circle your arms open into warrior two. Go ahead and straighten out your left leg. Shift forward as you pull your left hip crease back and lower your left hand down to a block. Outside your left foot as you stretch wide across your shoulders. Now from down into the bones of your feet, but lift up through your arches. And you can stay there or bend your left knee and step forward into Ardha Chandrasana half moon pose. Using your oblique strength here as you draw that tailbone in. Maybe open wide across your shoulders, just like Vashisthasana. And take a deep breath in. Exhale, rebend your left knee and slowly start to step back into triangle pose. Circle your right hand down, pivot onto your back toes, and then take your left hand back inside your left foot as you come back to downward facing dog pose. Walk your hands back to your feet. Chair pose, bend your knees. And press to stand, bring your hands into your heart. Samastitihi. Standing on your right foot, you're going to come into either Vrikshasana tree pose. So right foot to the inner calf or thigh. If you feel super comfortable, you can also take the peace fingers around your left big toe and open up into Utthita Hasta Padangustasana B. Or you can grab your strap and also use that to find an extension, bringing the strap around the mound of your toes to open up. I find that throws me a little bit further off balance, but check in and see what works for you. And I'm holding my mantle. You can always bring your right hand to a wall. 2 more cycles of breath. And wherever you are, draw the inner left thigh towards the midline, lift the thigh up, and then lower it back down. Switching sides, come up onto your right toes, open your right hip, and you can take your right foot to your calf or to the inner thigh. And rather than slouching into your left hip, which is so tempting, you're to pull the outer left hip in, engaging that glute medius, and then like a magnet between the foot and the thigh, we're coming together, draw up through the midline. And again, you might be taking the peace fingers around your right big toe, opening up your left arm to the left, maybe using your strap. But being mindful of the internal shifts and complementing those with your stability and your strength. One more cycle of breath. Draw the inner right thigh towards your midline. Lift that thigh up and then lower it back down. Chair pose, breathing in. Forward fold, breathing out. Lengthen your spine as you breathe in. And then downward facing dog pose, breathing out. Let's lower your knees down to the ground. Come to stand up on your knees. If you have your blocks, you can take them with you. And we'll dance our camel. If you've been here before, you know this one. You'll reach your right hand back to the heel or to the block, and then reach your left arm to the sky. As you exhale, pull your hips back like chair pose. Catch your left hand, heel or block, and then reach your right arm up to the sky. And so you can find traditional Ustrasana camel pose by bringing the fingertips up the lower back, flesh of the buttocks drawing down, not thrusting the hips forward too much, but pulling your frontal hip bones together and then lengthening up the spine like you're going up and over a high bar. Or you're dancing from side to side. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and pull yourself back up. Untuck your toes and find Vajrasana or Virasana, just as we did at the beginning of practice. And then take a moment to close your eyes and check in and notice the subtle shifts that have taken place within your body. Notice this intimate connection that you have to your breath. That your breath not only nourishes your body, but also nourishes your baby. You might call in a mantra or an affirmation that feels potent and powerful to you at this time. And then go ahead and come back up onto your hands and to your knees. If you like, you can come into one more camel pose, Ustrasana. I actually like to keep the blocks there and then bring a bolster on top. So as you walk your fingertips back, just your fingertips, so you're really tenting into your hands, you can draw those frontal hip bones together, lift up through your heart and your sternum so you feel this kind of tug of war between your tailbone and your chest. Keep your chin drawing in and then pull your shoulder blades together and down your back. Invite in the breath. And come right back up. And untuck your toes. If you have your bolster, place it right in front. Bring your box forward with a little bit of space and come into downward facing dog. I'll move all this stuff aside. You can keep yours there if you like. Pigeon pose. Bring your right shin forward, lower your right hip and left psoas down to that bolster. Untuck your back toes and just check out your left leg. Make sure it's not too far out to the left. If this pose does not feel good in your body, you can skip it and come into Sukhasana or even a seated double pigeon. Breathing in and then folding in. Maybe closing your eyes as you drift your attention further inward. Knowing that our awareness is oftentimes layered, that we can go deeper, further into those subconscious layers, the more we release and allow things to be just as they are. That this is a windy road. Wherever you are is where you need to be for your soul's journey, for your healing and your growth. Honoring each and every season. As it comes and goes. take one more breath. And then slowly come back up onto your hands and transition to the other side in a way that feels good for you. Downward dog. Maybe even just bringing that left leg around or switching the cross of your shins. Finding pigeon on your left side. Working your right hip down, but no big deal if it does not do that. So it's definitely not a time to fight your body. This is a time to find your body, to honor your body and its wisdom. And if it's telling you to go deeper, then go deeper. Or if it's telling you to back off, to back off. Knowing that that allowance is what helps us to go further inward. Finding one area of your body to soften, the jaw, the tongue, nape of the neck, back of the eyes, your lower back. You may repeat to yourself, I breathe new life into my body, releasing resistance. Allowing the energy to flow. And take one more breath. And slowly come back up onto your hands and swing your right leg around. I'd like for you to land in a final posture. You could be in a seated meditation today. I'm going to show you a different way to lie on your left side with your props. Or if you know Supta Baddha Konasana supported with the props, you can do that as well. You'll take your left ear onto the bolster or the blanket. Take your 2 blocks with a bolster or pillow on top. And you're just going to thread your left arm underneath your right shoulder as we did before. Bring your right shin onto that supported bolster so you have some space in your sacrum. Maybe bring your hand onto baby's home. take these final moments to close your eyes and feel that intuitive connection, that light, that bridge between you and your baby. This little light growing inside of you that shows you to be his or her mother. Returning to any powerful words or affirmations and letting those sounds resound within you to shift your inner vibration and frequency towards one of harmony, peace, and presence. Breathing in and letting go. All right. So please feel free to rest here for as long as you possibly can and you need. Thank you so much for joining me today for this mindful prenatal flow. My name is Allie, and I look forward to seeing you next time here on Glow. In gratitude, namaste.